Hello, I don't even know if this started yet or not, but I was just gonna grab the um, Revelation edition of the Spirit Keepers Tarot. Oh, what is going on? But then I grabbed the Mystical Shaman Oracle cards. Okay. Oracle card deck. Hey, Twitty, how you doing? I think I watched a part of Rob's live and I saw you. I was like, what? I missed it when it was live, but I went back for a second. Hey, Skywalkers. How are y'all doing today? Does that say Buongiorno? What? What happened? What'd you say? Who is this? What? The Herald of the Flame card is at the bottom of the deck again. I feel like I should just like look at all these. Oh yeah, I love this deck. I'm doing well too. I got to enjoy my weekend, so I'm glad for that. Excuse me. So I looked at the cards I pulled for 2021. I don't like doing it. But I did it anyway, and I might do it for next year. But from September, October, November was the Fool, the Seven of Pentacles, and the Chariot. Then for December, I have the Two of Swords. So choices and decisions. Dizzy. I gotta go back. I just saw your comment. Hello, Vicky. Excuse me. I don't even know what was said at that time. I feel like the whole video I'm like this off camera, like looking at the cards. The card that came out is the Eight of Swords, the Captor. And it's Jupiter and Gemini. But I'm looking at it. There's a blood moon, lunar eclipsed moon, an eclipsed moon in the Eight of Swords card. I'm gonna read it in this book. But the bottom of the deck is the Herald of the Flame. The Herald of the Flame was at the bottom of the deck before, and then I cut to the Shining Flame. But like, I don't know if it's other heralds as well. This reminds me of in the Osho Zen Tarot. I think it's conflict. It's either the 9 or the 8 of Swords, where it's like the way out is like literally right behind us. But they're kind of looking in opposite directions. Which it's weird. It gives me a feeling of like someone's like who's trapped in a situation that they know they can get out of, but they stay in it for a reason. What's the message of this Herald of the Flame? I'm gonna pull it face down. Hello, Eve. How are you? It's a little chilly here. In a vortex. Oof. Sorry for the vortex. Sorry. As long as you don't have like vertigo or something. The Elucidator. Excuse me. I'm so sleepy. Not really. Oh, I've been sleeping good. It's a divine twister. Oof. You get the woozies. I haven't had the woozies in a second. When's the last time I had woozies? What was that? Was it Heffalumps and Woozles from Winnie the Pooh? Artemis. So let's go. Let's see. I'm liking this book so far. You are feeling bound by the threads of fate. Oop, I should grab the threads of fate to hear oracle cards, maybe. You're being pulled in so many oppositional directions that now you cannot move in any direction at all. The themes here are having to confront the evils of oppression, aggressions of those in a superior position to hurt those who are helpless and meek, feelings of isolation, but also having to learn how to overcome one's own victim mentality. You see yourself as the captive, but that you are not. You, my dear, are the captor. This is a first person view of the situation. What have we been doing to falsely imprison logic, reason, free speech, higher ideals, morality, ethics, and the flourishing of the humanities? The setting is Hellenized Alexandria. You're seeing the great library of Alexandria adjacent to it. Hold on, let me hold it because she said Alexandria. Adjacent to it, the museum or research institution dedicated to the muses. The woman pictured here is Hypatia of Alexandria or Hypatia of Alexandria, the Neoplatonic philosopher, teacher, inventor, political advisor, and mathematician. The mob persecutes her because she reminds them of the light, reason, and truth that they are not yet capable of. What? Oh yeah, the nauseous. I was like, it made me kind of nauseous. I was like, oof. My stomach started to turn, and I was like, okay. It used to be headaches. Sometimes I would get it. Like if I got a headache before I even did a reading, I was like, oh my gosh, well here we go. Or in the point. Wait, say what? So it said that she reminded them of the. Let me see. Let me find it. Oh, look. I almost went to the exact page. Oh, wait. It's right here. The mob persecutes her because she reminds them of the light, reason, and truth that they are not yet capable of. That part. So then there's a lighthouse in the back. I think there was a lighthouse in Alexandria. I don't remember. I think that's what that eclipsed moon is about. There's almost a high priestess like energy here, and the moon eclipses when it passes into Earth's shadow. So something about. I think that's another thing about our shadow. Well, I know that like the shadow, the depth of our shadow is our capacity for light. So that makes sense. Um, Maybe it's because it can only handle so much. Because it can only handle so much, it doesn't allow more light than it can eclipse until it's healed or whatever. I'm gonna just keep pulling more cards. This one so far is a lot. I feel like it's easier to connect to, which is it's not like. I mean, I'm also reading the book a lot more, so because I love how she. Like the evolution between the Vitruvian edition and the Revelations edition, I love it. Um oh, the Beloved came out, oof, with the curse at the bottom of the deck, which is a 5/5. And the hummingbird in reverse under the curse. Hey, Holly. This reminds me of an ancient word that stirs ancient things to life, whispered again for some reason. And look at this. Well, maybe this is one of those optical illusion thingies where they are the same color, but this is what I'm noticing. If I could hold all of these up. Oh, wait. I feel like it would make more sense to do it this way. There we go. So this, and then the moon up there. That's what I'm immediately noticing. And I kind of want to put these back. If they come back out, they're meant to. Cards can do stuff like that. But yeah, the Vitruvian edition of the SKT, I'd be like, wait, this edition, it feels more approachable. And I think that was also her intention. Between editions, they also get more well, I can't wait for you to delve into the SKT3, Twitty. Kathy. Oh, the training wheels. Yeah, it's been feeling I don't know why it feels like all that will change has already been changed. And it's just our ability to see that and then our ability to allow it. And I don't know why it felt so right that it was a thing of permission. It's like we give ourselves permission to ride the bike without training wheels. We give ourselves permission to continue forward when we realize that no one's there to hold us up. And it's not that they're not there. Like, if you're teaching somebody to ride their bike and if they fall or skin their knee, then you're going to go up to them. But it's a time to allow them a certain independence. And so you let go. That's something that the Queen of Pentacles is capable of that the Queen of Cups in her shadow is not. The Queen of Cups in her shadow would never let go of the bike. And so the child of the Queen of Cups in her shadow would never really learn how to ride it. And, fate and fortune forbid that they actually have to ride a bike on their own. And they feel like they can do it. And then they realize, well, the whole time it's been mom on the back holding me up. So, but anyway, snow vibes. It snowed in Canada. The whisper. It did. I don't remember. Where was it? I don't know. I wish that arrow that pierces the heavens and parts or breaks the clouds would come out. The card that came out is the Seer in reverse. which is a 45. Oh, the Seer in reverse for the Captor upright. See, this is reminding me again of that passive perception or that passive precognition energy. Ooh, wait, is it? It's just like it feels like when we act, it's like the hermit. So think of the high priestess, but in a hermity type of way. It's like when the high priestess is stationary, then her sight expands billions fold. But when the high priestess is moving, it's like she can't move and well, like major arcana high priestess can, but like major arcana embodied in like a person and what we're capable of or we're capable of, you know what I mean? So who's the Queen of Cups? She's pre high priestess. What's minor high priestess energy? What would minor high priestess be? It's temporarily the Six of Cups, but we'll revisit that later. Um, so let's go to the Queen of Cups because I already talked about her. Why not? So the Queen of Cups isn't able to intuit and move at the same time. So if she's moving, it's like her intuition pulls in instead of it being like all the way out here. And so I feel like that's what this energy is. It's like as we're moving, as we're acting, it's almost like we can't necessarily read the consequence of our own actions. We can better read the consequence of other people's actions or the natural flow. It's more difficult to read the flow when we're engaged in it, which is where the King of Swords is sort of coming in now, supposedly. And this feels like, but I feel like it's usually this way, but it didn't come out this way. It feels like on a playing card, how like if you have a face card, there'll be like one will be facing in one direction, and then on the other side of like it'll be facing in the opposite direction, but they're facing each other. So that's an eclipse portal. It's an eclipse portal further into self. And then we have this Herald of the Flame energy. I like reading this book, so I'm gonna keep reading the book. Excuse me. Sorry. I was watching part of that video back and I'm just like yawning. This deck makes me yawny. I just yawn constantly. Awaken the Brilliance. Oh. So going back to the Beloved with the curse and the hummingbird in reverse. That would be this Eight of Swords energy of like that curse, you know, like not speaking, keeping your mouth quiet, kind of sort of in a way being forced into that passive position because a more active energy was more actively persecuted. Um, but that awakening the brilliance energy, that's an energy that's actually been coming out for a second now. It was the spark. It was what cosmic light and divine spark. So it was like some cosmic light that awakens the divine spark within. Um, that awakening the brilliance that came out last time, I'm pretty sure somewhere. Also, maybe the start of it was the night that the vizier sent that was the embodiment of the dragon that was going to take care of the scorpion to release the scorpion's hold on the person. when I use the deck of fates and the many things and many fates. Because now it's this energy, it's like awaken the brilliance, right? Awaken the brilliance is this energy of like pulling the moon out of Earth's shadow. I should have kept the curse on the table. It's fine. So let's see. Here is an omen of talent rising, the promise of a light about to shine. Hold your head high, do not doubt yourself. You are good enough. School, career, or a passion project, what you produce is sheer brilliance. Here, the page is a princess from Bhutan. Bhutan? The hidden holy land and lotus garden of the gods. The Bhutanese call their lands the kingdom of the thunder dragon. The princess is being trained and prepared for the role of queen, which she will someday serve. Likewise, you are in training and preparation for the great title you will someday be ordained to hold. Awaken your inner brilliance and rise. Speaking of training wheels. Hey, Lana, how are you? Excuse me. Oh, gosh. Journey buddies. Oh, I love journey buddies. Speaking of journey buddies, my OG journey. It's been a while since I caught up with her. She called me like a week ago, and that Saturday. I was just like all over the place. I think this is Lake over Thunder. Let's see. I want to read the I Ching too. Wind. No. Hold up. Lake over Thunder. Yeah, this is Lake over Thunder. Lake over Thunder instead of Thunder over Lake. That's interesting. Let me see. Lake over Thunder is inspiring others. So that's why she's waiting. This energy came out last time in the Hierophant, which was an energy of like inspiring others to help themselves rather than keeping people in a someone will save us mentality. It's like whenever someone who's like super fit, they're like, it's like the fit to fat to fit type of thing, where they're like, I'm gonna get fat and then I'm gonna get fit again just to show that like it can be done. Or it's like a person who has everything and then someone's like, somebody told me about that. My mom told me about it the other day. It's like someone who's like very wealthy and someone's like, well, if you had to do it again, would you be able to? And so they sell and they get rid of everything they have and then they build that wealth again to almost show that it can be done, or there's something. That energy is here. I feel like that's why this captive energy is intentionally held captive. It's almost like it's gathering an audience while it's held captive. It's like some kind of Houdini great escape. Like, what? And then the whole world believes in magic, right? Or everyone in attendance, everyone who witnesses the miraculous escape believes in miracles or something like that. But then, let me get one more of these. I'm like so far behind. I don't know what's happening in the chat. But that's not necessarily anything new. You're working tonight? Well, I hope it isn't bad. I had to work Friday. I was going to have to work Friday yesterday and potentially, but probably not today. I'm like, oh my gosh, my 4-day weekend. Thankfully, I only had to work Friday. So hopefully work isn't too much. I just saw the crow. What's on this Awaken the Brilliance? Do I need a card? I feel like because I don't know how that energy. So Pachamama is upright at the bottom of the deck when I stop shuffling. And this is a 45 in reverse. All who witness it shall rise. I don't know what that means. But that makes sense. All who witness it shall rise. It goes back to that energy, which was the the cosmic light that awakens the divine spark, being that, like, when you witness someone else do something that you may have thought, or when someone witnesses someone do something that they may have thought impossible or highly unlikely or highly improbable, do it, then it gives them, it plants a seed that it can be done. It provides a counter argument to something that they thought was true. And it only takes one thing to prove something as false in order for it to be deemed not true, or to at least be less universally true. Pachamama is 40 and the seer is 45. I think the seer is in reverse because of the choice that we still have. That's South Node Sagittarius. This is South Node Sagittarius, North Node Gemini. Because a true shadow Sagittarius would consider it an outlier, would dismiss it. It wouldn't change anything. It's like you could see whatever happened right in front of you and you still cling to everything that you already knew. Oh. So the seer doesn't have it, but right here, well, there's actually two of them, but you can see it more clearly right here in Pachamama. You see right there. It's that again. All who see it shall have the choice to rise. Ain't nobody always gonna. You always wanted red hair and freckles. Wait, what? I'm so. Excuse me. Working on hospital. Oh. Excuse me. That's the one thing that I'm like concerned with kids, is that kids can be cruel. You're considering school for 7 weeks starting April. You need to make payments. You can. We'll get it done. Oh, thanks, Zelda. I hope it works out for you. Whatever you're doing to make your life go in the direction you want it to go in and all that it includes. I hope the best for you. The best of outcomes. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. I feel like I wasn't yawning before I started this. It's fine. It said that this Eight of Swords was a light that others wasn't yet. A light, what was it? A light, a truth, and a whatever. It's a light that others weren't yet capable of, and that's why she's persecuted. The Seer in reverse. I think the Seer in reverse is lost in the shadow of Earth. Because this lunar eclipse red, like that's the Seer's blindfold. So I feel like it can't see outside of the shadow of Earth, which is also a thing, right? But I don't know if it's something that can necessarily be seen. I feel like that's why the Queen of Cups has to move. It feels like the shadow of the earth. I was gonna say it feels like the Queen of Cups vision is blocked by something. Like there's a pillar or something that blocks her vision and it expands outward. And it's almost like she doesn't notice her blind spot. But if she were to move, she could even move and then like get stationary. She could like move a little bit and then like allow it to expand, and then you move a little bit so it contracts, and then you stop and then it expands. And maybe it's this like this is the thing that we're doing as we move and into it or whatever. But it feels like with a certain amount of movement, whatever's blocking her vision, she would be able to see beyond. It does feel that it gets like it might get really hermity though. And that's a comfort thing. Because if she moves too much, her vision will reduce even more. But if she's comfortable, if she can trust, just like the hermit has to trust whatever his lantern illuminates or their lantern illuminates, then it's like you can see enough, you'll be fine. Everything else you may not see. And this forest is pretty dark down here at the bottom of Pachamama. There's an eclipse, not necessarily energy, but I feel like this is a question of like, how can something as large as the sun be eclipsed by something as small as the moon? And its perspective. And so that's why the Queen of Cups has to move to get a different perspective. Because even if her sight is omnidirectional, the genesis of that is where she is. So like it expands outward from her, but it's like, well, if the thing is over here, then her sight over here, it may not necessarily reach that far, which is why she would have to move. And then like from here, it would expand out and then eventually like ping it. The 40 and the 45, it's like the 5 brings change, but I don't necessarily know. It's not within my whatever to know if that change is enough to shift the 4 into a 6, to move from something that's stable to something that's more harmonious, because it can be stable and not great. You could be in a stable relationship and the relationship be garbage. You can be in a stable job, you can have a stable job and hate it. You could be stable in your misery. I was very stable in mine for quite some time, actually. But I feel like the more they move, the more they see themselves as capable, which is part of the reason why it's to be witnessed. And I noticed the fog down here. The fog is not lost on me. Excuse me. Oof, I am not a football person. But thank you, Zelda. Excuse me. So I still have a card. Well, let's see. Let's see. It might be the warrior. It might not be. Oh, this is very not the warrior. This is the opposite of the warrior, and the warrior is the sun in this deck. Oh, what? Oh. So the Herald of the Flame is coming with the sealed scroll. The card of the sealed scroll is the moon. It's the necromancer. And I'm noticing it looks like it gets a little foggy in the back because you can clearly see these pillars, but behind Anubis, it's a little shrouded. It's a little foggy. I mean, I guess all of this is about the eclipsed moon. And I did say that there was an energy of like the moon moving out of the shadow of Earth. And I guess that's what this is. Oh my gosh. I think it is. So behind the scarab beetle, you see like that part of the moon. I think that's the shadow of Earth. And it's like it's moving out of the shadow of Earth. But that's light. It's not dark, so it's not necessarily a shadow. So maybe the light of the moon is actually moving out of the light of Earth, which would be an energy of restrictions. This whole thing just changed. I kind of got the chills, low key. And I'm going to be freezing because it was already cold. I think it's moving out of the light of Earth. Which is why it's the energy of the Queen of Cups, pre-High Priestess energy, and not the actual High Priestess. Which is why I made that correction, right? When it shifted to the Queen of Cups. Because I feel like the High Priestess would be able to see regardless of if she's moving or not. Queen of Cups, us in the position in the space of the High Priestess would be less able to do the same. Excuse me. I'm so sleepy. I'm not even sleepy. What's holding the marshmallows? Oh, I see. I see. Or a torch. Where's the torch? What's the torch? I feel like this deck is. I feel like it goes to a lot of the same places, but it does it in a different way. I feel like it does it in a way that's not necessarily easier to understand, but your cup is holding the marshmallows? How does that work? So are you gonna like heat the cup up? Are you gonna boil the marshmallows? Excuse me. Okay, wow. Excuse me. This is Pisces. Jupiter and Gemini, and then the energy of Pisces. Jupiter is about to return to Pisces. So Jupiter and Gemini would be squaring the house that it rules, which is exactly that energy. It's that energy of limitation. But oh my gosh. There are so many layers. Just opened up another layer. So, because there was the thing about the site increasing and then decreasing as the Queen of Cups moves or whatever. But with the energy of Gemini, there's also this like expanding in the light and expanding in the dark. And it's actually, according to this little necromancer, that's so here is awakening the brilliance, right? Here's the captor, which is where we started. Oh, this is a square. And then it's awakening the brilliance. And under awakening the brilliance, the message that she brings is the gateway of resurrection. And this is how it's laid out on the table. That's a square, like 90 degrees, right? Awakening the brilliance leads to the gateway of resurrection, which it feels like it's light. It allows in more light than what than what we were capable of before. Which is interesting, but it takes me back to the energy of it was that energy where it's like in the base chakras things are already changed because it just is. Like there's only being. There's not like no real thought or rationality. It feels like most of the thought and rationality and reasoning happens in the upper three chakras. And that's why the upper three chakras were in a space of conflict while the base three were already sort of there. It's like a child that can just be that doesn't, well, okay. Maybe not the best example. Shout out to Gemini. Um, so it's not like a child. It's like someone who can just accept things and not ask a million and one questions. It's like, this is how it is. Okay. And I feel like there's a great judgment cast on people like that who can just accept things and not ask questions. But with the North Node being in Gemini and the South Node being in Sagittarius, it feels like we're supposed to at least enter it and learn in the space. You can't theorize and philosophize from outside of the space and see it correctly. It becomes the seer in reverse, blinded by the shadow of earth. You can't see beyond that shadow. But which is why it's so interesting that it's coming out with light. It's like we're blinded by the shadow, but unable to see the light. Or being blinded. Well, that's because the shadow and the light are so closely intertwined. Right? The shadow is the capacity of light. They're not necessarily easy to separate. And so to be blinded by a shadow is to not be able to see light. Because all you see is the darkness of the shadow. Duh. Oof, I feel like I could have got there a lot quicker. Easy bake oven. I always wanted an easy bake oven so I can make cakes and cupcakes whenever I wanted. But my mom was like, easy bakes are for girls. So I never got one. But then they came out with the Queasy Bake, and I have a Queasy Bake oven. But it was like dirt pie and worms. I'm like, I want cake. This isn't cake. So, I still have that thing up there too. Excuse me. North Node Leo in the 11th house. Well, the South Node in Sagittarius would trine your North Node in Leo, but the North Node in Gemini would sextile your North Node in Leo. So it's like for the direction that you're moving in, it's almost like, or that you were moving in, it would have been easier to, because it's like the trine being more energetically favorable going to the South Node versus the sextile, which is also energetically favorable, but less energetically favorable than the trine, being like hitting the North Node. It's like, well, it's closer too. So as long as you took the opportunity, there's like two easy streets, one slightly less easy. But the node is about to shift into Taurus, which squares. So you'll have two squares. It's almost like you move from a strongly favorable and a weakly favorable interaction to like two weakly unfavorable, whatever. Girl, I don't know. Don't get me talking about astrology. Don't get me talking about astrology. I don't know. Because of the shadow creation. Excuse me. Exactly that. It comes with the oven mitt. What comes with the oven mitt? What? Who's that? You left breadcrumbs? Is that what this is? I think this is what this is. I feel like I could pull a Diceology card just because. This is interesting and kind of weird. Not weird. It's just like beyond our understanding. You know what I mean? Thank you. Because I'm like, it was an antinodal year for me. My North Node is in Sagittarius. The collective South Node was in Sagittarius. So I guess it wasn't, it was in the charts, it was in the stars for me to feel so whatever. But also to meet in the middle. I mean, this feels pretty done. I'm curious. if you want to get in my world, get lost in. But I'm tired of running. Let's walk for a minute. I'm curious about you. You seem so innocent. Shout out to Nelly for Tato and Timbaland, Promiscuous Girl. Let's see. Let's see what the Vitruvian edition wants to put on top of this. I feel like this is the point where we, like, that allow the world to be rewritten really comes in again. The Blind Seer. This is minor. Wait, is this minor? I said it was minor justice before. It's the minor high priestess. And justice? I don't know. It could be minor both of them. Oof. I don't. If you see me sitting in silence, sometimes it's me trying to understand like what's happening. Sometimes it's me semi-actively questioning. Questioning is healthy. I'm just like, what? Sometimes it's stuff that I'm just like, okay. Oh, the Page of Cups and the Six of Swords were just at the bottom of the deck. And I like the Page of Cups and the Six of Swords because there's something about air energy that's going to help us navigate difficult emotional spots. And it's almost like it's like learning when to be head over heart can help us resolve the woes and the elements of the heart, of the emotional body. And it's like, sometimes being logical does help. Like if you could go, it's not personal. Like that's just who they are. That's just how they are. It's not personal. It had to happen to somebody and it just happened to be you. Or it's like you didn't do anything to deserve this. It just happened. Like air can help us where in areas where we just be drowning. Honestly, well, if you're drowning, what do you need? Air, right? And the air in the water, if you don't have gills, the air in the water is not going to put any oxygen in your lungs without also flooding them. So, but if you have gills, then you're fine. If you have gills, you probably wouldn't be drowning. So, you have a dream of transcribing so that I can understand the truth coming through. Oof. But hear it from a different perspective. Oh, gotcha. Some of this stuff, I'm just like, okay, let's bring it down, please. It's not that I don't understand. It's like I there are some things that it's like I see it, but I don't understand. This is me. I'm like, well, with the light of earth, I don't see this. It's not that I don't see it as happening, but part of me, I feel like there's a part of me that can't comprehend it, but a part of me that also like knows it to be true. And so that's when I'm just like, I don't know. And I'm like, if it plays out in this way, then it plays out in this way. Oh my gosh, look. The Page of Cups came out. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm picking that one too. And this one. All right. Oof, and that one. Ooh, what? Okay. So I just pulled like 15 cards. I wonder if Gemini could help with that. I already forgot what Gemini could potentially help with. Oh, the air over the water. I would almost be tempted to say that maybe Libra more than Gemini. Because I feel like Gemini and Pisces are so similar that like Gemini and water, well, Gemini would help see the other side of the situation, but I feel like Libra could also counterbalance in a way that would give you the other side of the situation and not have you in Gemini territory. Just like, wait. It feels like Gemini would overload it, and Libra would be a better fit unless you can handle it. Unless you can handle it, then I think Gemini would probably get it done a lot quicker, but it would be probably a lot more intense than if like Libra did it. And Aquarius, I feel like Aquarius wouldn't necessarily be able to ground itself enough to be fully attentive to that energy. But also sometimes maybe we need a little bit of like, so let's cycle through it. Either you can do an Aquarius Libra or a Gemini, but Gemini is like hard mode. So maybe Gemini isn't. I don't know. It just feels like Gemini would be a lot. I got a whole bunch of cards. A whole bunch. Well, I don't understand it from like your perspective, right? I mean, I'm a lover of perspectives or from any other perspective, like, but some of this stuff I'm just like a Richard Scarry book. I don't even know who Richard Scarry is, but I don't like being scared. So the cards that came out, it's the Stronghold of the Grail. So here's the Page of Cups energy where we already had the Page of Wands. So this is more um for me, fire is the soul and water is the essence, which is like fire is the water and water is the cup that holds the water. And then earth and air play out the same thing, where like earth is the form, air is all that comes before it, all that precedes the form. That isn't the fire or the water. And so in the Vitruvian or in the Revelation deck, it's coming out in the space of like opening up your soul to receive more light. But I don't know. Well, it's partial because it's like we see more of it, but it also does allow for like growth, evolution, or expansion of the soul. But in the Vitruvian edition, it's coming out in the essence. It's coming out in the thing that holds it, and it came out with the Three of Pentacles, the Mason. The Three of Pentacles, it's about building a bridge or a tunnel that connects two different spaces. And I feel like the Page of Cups is like, maybe it's more embodying. The essence is more embodying. And so there's something that's also going to help us embody more. There's something that's going to help us see more and awaken to more or be enlightened to more. And then there's something that's going to help us embody more of what it is that we see because they both need work to get where we're going or where you're going, for you to get where you are going. Because again, it's like the shadow is the capacity to hold light. So it doesn't help too much if you can see more, but you can't hold it or you can't grasp it or you can't do anything with it. So this is the part that helps us do something with it. And first we start with the Seeker. The Seeker was at the bottom of the deck. I was like, oh yeah, that fits. This is definitely like, I've built this bridge, I've built this tunnel as far out as I can, and I need like maybe it's like the blueprint ran out, or it was more than we anticipated. Ooh, this is Mars and Capricorn. Okay, so Mars likes being in Capricorn, but maybe Mars was a little too excited. Maybe Mars didn't listen to Saturn in full. Mars is like, yeah, I know. Okay, all right. And then it's just gone. And then Saturn's like, Mars will be back. But it feels like we've reached like the end of what was allotted for already. And so we have to go back to see how we sort of continue moving forward. And that's what the seeker is. That's Uranus. Apparently, that's the glyph of Uranus. I've never seen it, but the sun and Mars, I guess I can see it. And I love that it's like the divine has this hands off approach. This is that training wheels again. It's like the hands of the divine are there to support it, but not like directly touching it. Not that the hands of the divine need to directly touch it to offer support, but you know, you might be in over your head again. Oof, well, just I don't know. Take it in bite-sized pieces. So what comes out after the seeker is Sacred Cinnabar, the Ace of Swords. And I was like, oh, the seeker and the Ace of Swords, gotta take it. And then after the Ace of Swords was the Nocturne, the Two of Pentacles. And so it feels like it offers us expansion in terms of choice. It's almost like it shows us, it's like it can't, because again, it's like it's a hands off approach. This is an energy that's been Arnold Mars. What? Okay, Eve. This is an energy. It's like because we have free will and because we have choice, we can't necessarily be given the answer exactly. And so what we're given instead is like, let's say the answer is 3. And so you're given like between 1 and 10. Like, and that's like the two extremes on the outside. I feel like this is 1, this is 10, and the answer is somewhere in between. That's why the Ace of Swords is coming out with the Two of Pentacles. And also, like, if we were just told the answer, it's almost like it's like North Node Gemini. It was that energy of like you enter the space. Well, it's North Node Gemini-ish. Because I feel like at this point we're not fully in the space, but it's like we're presented with two different things or more, two or more. And we see or we find the truth in it. We're not told the truth, but if you use resonance and stuff like that, oh my gosh. If you use resonance and stuff like that, then it feels like you'll be able to find the truth. And then after that, it's literally 18, 19, 20. The moon, and I had to pull the moon because the moon already came out. But behind the moon is the sun. And behind that is judgment. But in this deck, it's the necromancer, the warrior, and apocalypse. I was like, what? We go 18, 19, 20. That's why I was like, there's like 15 cards down here. It was this way. I'm trying to put these out in the order they came out. And I guess in some way, it is a little bit of which do you choose to be true. And in that, we kind of make the choice that decides how things play out, or the nature of our reality, the nature of our experience at the very least. But what's the difference between experience and reality? The difference between experience and reality is nothing from a singular perspective. I feel like it's only from outside of the self do we get to see the disparities between what it is that we experience and what it is that's actually happening. But within the self, it's like it's indistinguishable until something comes along that might be like a tower that like opens you up to like, oh, so like what I was experiencing isn't necessarily the truth of reality, but it was my truth in that moment or at that time, or it continues to be my truth, so it continues to be my experience. And it's interesting because it feels like, so the bread of life was the last card at the bottom of the deck after judgment. And it's the darkening in this deck. It's the deepening in the Revelation edition, but it's the darkening here. And it's like if we seek more truth, if we seek more light, it's revealed in shadow. It's revealed in darkness. But that makes sense. Like we only see stars at night. We don't see stars when the sun is out. And you don't see stars if there's too much light pollution. And so it's like it, in order for us, especially if we ask for it, especially if you ask for it, and maybe it was a lot of collective asking, um, but to see the light of truth or to see the light of light, it's almost like we have to experience the lie or we have to experience darkness because it's easier to see that way. And I feel like that's that Ace of Swords to a Pentacles energy. I didn't even read the Sun, the Moon, and Judgment. The Necromancer, the Warrior, and Apocalypse. The Necromancer is the gateway. The Necromancer is the moon, is the gateway of resurrection. The Warrior is the sun, is the master of the mystic light. And Apocalypse's judgment is last judgment. Last judgment before we sort of like enter this whole new world with the Ace of Pentacles. But it feels like it's coding it. So that's also air energy. Well, it's all of them. The moon is water, the sun is fire, and judgment is air. I feel like this was a really roundabout way. Well, I mean, I guess it wasn't because everything that already came out already came out. I'm the one that pulled more cards to explain it again. I don't know. Excuse me. I I saw something about, I didn't read it, but I every now and then I'll look at articles on the, whenever I open up Google Chrome on my phone and I scroll down, it'll have articles. And there was something about a spider web and it looked like a laser. I don't know. Can I get a card for these cards? I do want to pull a dice. Oh, that was quick. That was quick. Oh, the circle. Oh, it's two cards. 28 upright, 29 in reverse. It's the Jaguar journey. The Jaguar upright, the journey in reverse. There's it's almost like a devil's advocate energy here. And I feel like it goes back to that Two of Pentacles. It's like to be offered something, but to know or understand that it's not what we desire, so we don't choose it. It's like the correct choice was to not make one, because in not making a choice, it allows time for another option to appear. In some instances, right? Well, that's what it. Let me not put an extra caveat on it. Sometimes I do get in the way a little bit. I'm like, what is this for real? Are you serious? It's like, yeah, it's for real. I'm like, no, it's not. No, you're playing with me. It's like, no. It's either that, or there could be another side of the journey that we haven't experienced yet. Maybe this is saying that, like, the realm of the Jaguar is only half of the journey. It's not a complete journey. That's why the journey isn't upright. And it's also not the nature of the journey to always be within the realm of the Jaguar. I dropped the journey card and it's still in reverse. It slid out of my hand a little bit. Oh, the spider. Wait, what? Excuse me. Honestly, it feels like devil energy, according within this space of moving forward, devil energy is the devil's advocate. And again, it's almost like it's because we have choice that we can't just be given the answer. So maybe we're given the truth and a lie, or maybe we're given partial truths to find through the space of resonance and experience which parts are true and which parts are lies. And it's like it's not necessarily to plunge us into darkness or for us to live lives of chaos that we're offered things that aren't necessarily great. But it's like the devil is the devil's advocate. It's like the devil advocating for us to actually not, but it's not like devil energy is going to be like, here's this thing that I'm offering you that you definitely shouldn't take. Well, I feel like if devil energy winked at us, we'd be like, okay, so I am supposed to take it. And devil energy's like, no, like I'm telling you not to take it. But I have to offer it to you because Earth question mark choice question mark. You don't have to take it, but this is an option. And I feel like a lot of it has almost been like following it, or I don't, it's not mischaracterized, but like that's the energy. And I'm like, I don't necessarily want to say that because I'm like, oof, girl, that is beyond me to be out here saying what is and what isn't devil energy. But that's what it feels like. It feels like, well, that's why it's allowed to happen. It's allowed to happen to give us, it's like to fulfill the requirement of choice. But we don't have to take it. And maybe that's another reason why the journey is in reverse. It's because we don't have to. Oh, I guess I already said it. We don't have to stay in that and we don't have to go down those pathways. Just because it's offered doesn't mean we have to take it. It's the Two of Pentacles, and we end up with one. We actually work from three pentacles to two pentacles to one pentacle. And so the help and the assistance that the vessel needs, it's almost, we're put in a position to give it to self. But we can't necessarily do all of that for ourselves. So we experience something or we're put in a situation to do it for ourselves. And that's how we awaken to more of the light and embody it at the same time. Oh my gosh, wait. Okay. That's how we do it at the same time. And that's, I feel like that's another reason why it's like all who witness shall rise. That's why this one in the beginning, that's why this one was intentionally stuck when it could be free. And the same is true in our own personal lives, right? It's like, if we do better, if we do whatever that we weren't able to do before, and there's someone in our life that's like, oh my gosh, like I see you're doing this and you're doing that. What happened? Like, what are you doing? Like, because I'm also kind of sort of going through some stuff and I could use some advice and it looks like you've done it. You know what I mean? Wow. Okay. I feel comfortable with this. I feel good with this. I feel like I finally got it. I feel like I made it. And it's like, it's nothing that wasn't necessarily said before, but it's like, completing the circle. Oh, look, the circle at the bottom of the deck. Completing the circle. So we can get a better, it's like we're mapping out the layout. It may not be completely like fleshed out, but we got some of the details in on the map so that we can navigate from there. And it's never to necessarily know everything either, because we have choice and will and stuff like that. It has to be honored. And because it has to be honored, sometimes we're given more than one option. And sometimes we're given non-options. But a non-option is only a non-option when we don't take it. Because if we take it, a non-option becomes an option. And maybe it was an option that we weren't. I mean, on one hand, we weren't supposed to take it. On another hand, for the sake of growth and evolution, and because we have choice, and because we can, we do. You know what I mean? I don't know. Okay, there we go. Oof. Oh, I can't take like half of the deck. Oh, I'll have a card left out. Oh, look, see, the circle became the medicine wheel. I like that. That's cute. I'm putting the seer back up and upright with the ghost dance. Ghost dance in reverse, seer upright. So now I'm gonna get final messages from these decks I used, and then we're gonna call this a day, I guess. Oof. Ooh, who is this? The Dynasty, the Ivory Shield. Oh my gosh, I looked back through these cards and I didn't pull them. Oh, Devil Energy was at the bottom of the deck with the Seven of Swords and the Ivory Shield. And I feel like, again, this is the energy where it's like, just because we're offered the choice doesn't necessarily mean we're supposed to take it. Because it feels like the Ivory Shield wouldn't. The Ivory Shield also is grace. Like, even if we did take it, there's still some grace that we have to be able to mitigate the fullness of the effects of whatever. And then under that is the Ten of Pentacles. I feel like it could also be like withheld from us until we reach that space, or reach a space where we're less likely to follow through with some of what devil energy may tempt us with. It's like, okay, well, when you're done playing games, you can have your 10 pentacles. It's like on that, it's like when you turn 18, then you get a certain amount of money from like a trust fund or a college fund or whatever. And it's like, if you want to go to school with it, you can. If you want to use it for something else, you can. It's your money, but you can't have it until you're 18. But we got to be like spiritually 18. And even when you're spiritually 18 or physically 18, like you're not an adult, because it's like you're a baby adult. You're like literally entering adult age here, at least. The age of what is an adult and the responsibilities and rights that comes with it is different from place to place, culture to culture, country to country, city to city. You know what I mean? But it's the beginning. And so there's still more to sort of be learned after that. Oh, look at this. So the kindred, the archangel of healing, and the magus came out. I feel like these are cleaner manifestations. I feel like this is also, it's an energy of healing that can only be done in the presence of others. Right. And one of the easiest examples is like, let's say that you've experienced a lot of toxic community. So you have some like toxic community wounds that can't be necessarily healed on your own. What you can heal is your ability to engage in spaces of community, to go into a new community and drop all of the experiences that you've already had. Like you can make yourself open, but it's not until you experience that better community that the community wound really heals. Because it's like before that moment, although a lot of the healing happens like hypothetically and theoretically, when it's put into practice, that cements the healing. And then from that space, it actually opens us up to utilize more. It expands our capacity of for creation. And that's where I'm gonna leave that. Bottom of the deck is the initiate. So it is kind of sort of brand new. Talking about being the fresh 18, reinitiated. So if you enter, I don't know. You know, there are some 18-year-olds that are like, oh, I'm 18. That means I'm an adult and blah, 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 whatever. I can make my own choices and decisions. And so they don't, you know, they're not receptive to others because now they're legally an adult. So they don't have to listen to other people. And it's like, oof, well, maybe you should have. And maybe they reach that point where they're like, oof, well, maybe I should have listened, even though I am an adult. Because now that I'm an adult, I'm responsible for myself. So, you know, you're not necessarily like no one else is necessarily liable for what it is that you do at that point. Um, but it's to be an initiate again after we reach a certain space. It's not even a secret that time. I don't know. Ooh, here we go. um, Girl, what is happening in this deck? Ooh. Okay, we talked about that card yesterday. So the card that came out is the Destroyer, Ten of Swords. I don't know what deity this is. Pretty sure this isn't Kali Ma in the um, Revelation edition. But there is a certain piece here. Well, hold up, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4, 9, 10. Okay. I think it's almost an energy of like, oh my gosh, it's the 4 samurai swords. The 4 samurai swords in the sky. Well, there's an ace of swords down here with this dude. So there is like it maybe is calling us out of a lot of stuff that we already know, which already came out. It was the energy of like being limited by the light of earth and blinded by its shadow. And we're being pulled into more. So this is the energy that almost has to come about to put us in a position to be open and receptive to more. These are also those experiences that, when navigated in a certain way, can lead us to, at the same time, we discover more, embody more. And in that way, I guess it's some kind of rapid growth and evolution. I don't know. What'd you say? I mean, I could look it up. It looks more maybe Buddhist than Hindu, but it could also be Hindu girl. I don't know. I could like, I'm sure she said in the book. I'll just look. I'll look. I'm not gonna read the whole thing like I did for the Hierophant. It also might be shorter because it's not a major arcana card. Um, but let's see. Oh wait, what? What? Hold up. It's a shamaness wearing a Mongolian deal robe, a traditional clothing style of Central Asia. So this isn't. This is a person. A shamaness channels the destroyer of obstacles. Oof. Ooh, girl. Ooh, girl. It was a little bit more comfortable when it was like Kalima, and when it was like a deity. You know what I mean? So a shamaness channels the destroyer of obstacles. That energy came out in Ganesha yesterday. Um, we are seeing her physical and spiritual forms merging. So she appears with 6 arms. Her spiritual form and physical form have merged, and she's channeling the destroyer of obstacles. So this is actually like, but again, I feel like it's that similar. Well, no, this it's oof. I'm like oof. I like it, but it's like oof. I'm still working through my own limitations. Okay. Oh my gosh. Hold up. Wow, synchronicity is wild, y'all. Oh, don't make me cry. Okay. Anyway, that pulls on something I watched yesterday, and I was watching it just like this is what it did yesterday, and this is what it's like today. It's like coming around and hit me from the back, and I'm like, ooh, didn't expect that. Oof, goodness. Anyway, at the bottom of the deck again is the Herald of Flame, awakening the brilliance. So channeling the energy of the of the destroyer of obstacles, merging the spiritual and the physical with the Herald of the Flame, awaken the brilliance at the bottom of the deck, and behind that, it's the Blind Seer, the Two of Swords, the Reaper, death, which is the passage to initiation, and the Initiate was at the bottom of the other deck, and the Vagabond, the Five of Orbs. And I pulled the Vagabond because we saw the Vagabond yesterday, which is an opportunity to merge the self and the shadow, or the light and the shadow. And maybe in that opportunity to merge the light and the shadow, we come into this space. I'm just like, oof. And that's that, but that's the new Hierophant energy. We come into the space where we do it ourselves. And I feel like this is almost like the higher potential of humanity. This is the power of humanity that we've been separated from because of old Hierophantic energy that made itself responsible for all of this rather than empowering us to do it ourselves. And the new Hierophantic energy is like, no, like this is something that you do by yourself, which is interesting because that was that Archangel Commander Michael energy that came out last year at some point. I think it was like February 2020-ish. Don't go looking for it because it's too much. But it was the energy where like we were like, oh, Michael, like help me do this. And Michael's like, I don't have my sword. Like, and you're like, what? And he was like, you have my sword, so you do it. And you're like, okay. And then like you do it. And then you're like, well, here's your sword, Michael. And Michael's like, that's not my sword. And you're like, what? But you told me that it was like you gave it to me, and that's the reason why I did it, because you didn't have it. And Michael's like, no, that's your sword. I have my sword. And now that you know your sword, let me teach you how to use it. And so it is a little bit of, with all this initiation energy, it's like that's going back to us giving ourselves permission to ride the bicycle, giving ourselves permission to be stable, and giving ourselves permission to continue on with less direct manipulation, honestly. Because it is kind of sort of a guidance, but it is kind of sort of a manipulation because it keeps you on the bike. Like you can't fall off while they're holding it, right? But it doesn't teach you how to ride it anyway. That's the beginnings. And then here we have like the sun, the moon, and this six-sided cube figure with the eye of the divine in the middle. And low-key, birds have been on a few of these cards because I'm noticing that bird there. I've noticed birds this whole time, but I never pointed them out because I don't know. But the birds have been there watching off to the side. If you've seen them, I don't even know if it was cards that I showed or if I was just like, I mean, it had to be cards. I feel like most of the cards I saw I showed, unless I was like shuffling. I don't know. And it feels like this is the lighthouse that was in the distance on that Eight of Swords card. Oh, Bernie. Oof. Oh, snap, it's Bernie. No, you're fine, Bernie. How you doing? Oh, that's the new magician. Oh my gosh. This is the lighthouse. This is an interesting energy here. Because it feels like death is following the light of this lighthouse, but it's daytime in this card. So we don't even see it. See, that makes my head hurt. I'm not doing that. that goes into it's well, that's the energy. It came out earlier. That was like, that's how Gemini plays a part in this. Because it was like with the Queen of Cups, there's a certain like expansion in one direction. But on the Gemini flip side, there's also an expansion in a direction that either we may not necessarily see or that we're not necessarily focused on because our attention is elsewhere right now. But it's like there's a light that can be seen here that isn't here, but this is the source of that light. But that goes back to how dark allows us to see light. It may be that like The lighthouse is always on, but you just don't see the light in the daytime because, you know. But this is a light in the daytime that you can't see. Like going up and down the stone of Abraham. You can see that light in the daytime. So I don't know. I'm glad my head didn't start hurting until the end of this, because but I do feel that it may not necessarily be, because under that I didn't want to take it. Oop, oop, oof. Well, under the vagabond, the 5 of Pentacles, it's the 5 of Swords and the 3 of Swords with the 9 of Swords. Yeah, it's all this energy. I feel like this is the things that may make it kind of difficult to move forward. Um, and I feel like these may also be some of the things that it requires others to heal, or it requires others to cement that healing, potentially. 'Cause, I mean, the 5 of Swords can be an energy of like you against the world, and the 3 of Swords could be an energy of disappointments when it comes to other people, and then the 9 of Swords is a general hopelessness at. Oh my gosh, what? What? I can't. I'm done. It's over. Oof. Oof. Okay, it's fine. I love this. I mean, I love the SKT. So I'm not surprised that I love the Revelation, but the Revelation edition is just like, oh, it's so good. And they have different vibes. So like the SKT Vitruvian edition is still going to be used for Vitruvian things, I guess. And I need to use this more to see, because it holds a similar vibe, but it feels like it speaks in a different way. I don't know. Did I already get a card from this? I did not get a card from this. Oh, I'm doing well. Rested, well rested. I'm glad to hear that. I've been resting so much over this weekend. I've been sleeping in, and I got to go to work tomorrow. So broken bone heal stronger, mind break. That's not Amanda. I don't think it's Amanda. I think Amanda uploaded. I liked it. I wanted to comment like, "Oh my gosh, Amanda!" But it's fine. Wait, is it Amanda? Did I miss Amanda? Actually, I love that you brought up Amanda, because her Anamkara messages from a soul friend. And maybe it is that soul friend energy. Soul tribe, soul friend. Oof. Amanda is Anamkara messages. She is awesome. I'm remembering, like, I just remembered her talk about when she went to a Ren fair, a Renaissance fair, and she picked up like different weapons. Like, I'm imagining Amanda with like a bow and arrow, like doing like tumbling and like shooting stuff or something. She's a Sagittarius, so it fits. It fits. Oh, I never even realized that. I never even realized it. Oof. I'm not surprised though. You remember when I said like there's a There's a little bit of an energy of an ancient word that stirs ancient things to life whispered. So number 5 and number 1 came out. It's the beloved and the ancient ones. So the beloved ancient ones. And the card that like really like got me shook is at the bottom of the deck. Stand still is in reverse. So I don't know if this energy is gonna start like really moving. And it's like 5 and 1 is 51. Stand still is 52. So we move from 51 to 52. And I'm like, ooh, wow. And behind that is the Indian cross in reverse. And behind that is fire. So, girl, I don't know. I'm just like, oof, that's too much. That's too much. It's too much. It's too much. See, but I feel like when I was saying there's an energy that's moving that like I can read it and I can understand it, but I can't comprehend it. And it's weird. I feel like it's weird, but maybe it's not. Oof, whoa, was it me? I was like, what's the energy of like a truth that's spoken, but like we don't see it? And it's like, I guess when you don't believe it. If you don't believe it as true, then if you hear it, then you wouldn't even know. Oof. But just because you don't believe it's just because you don't just because you believe it's not true doesn't make it less true. And certain things are absolute. There are some things that like are more relative, and it's like, well, if you think this is true, then that becomes your experience, and if you don't think that this is true, then that isn't your experience. But it feels like there are some things that are true regardless of whether or not you believe in them as true. And I'm just like, oof. I'm just like, oof. That's what you say to your grandkids? What? There you go, Bernie. This one's for you. Shout out to Bernie. Bernie is awesome. All right, y'all. I hope you all have a good whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. Um, and whatever this is, whatever's happening right now. Oof. I'm just like, oof. It's fine. It's fine. All right. Hey, there's Matt. I will catch you all maybe tomorrow, maybe later. I don't know. I want to use these more. I also want to finish those zodiac things. But I would have to use, I guess I would just have to change the link in it. I don't know. Anyway, I hope you all have an excellent whatever, and I'll catch you all later. Thank you for being here. It was enjoyable. Oof. Rob was right. Rob was right. I'm like, it was fun. It was enjoyable. And Rob's like, okay, Patty, whatever. Let me be a hypocrite. Let me live in my hypocrisy. I'm kidding. I think that's also one of the reasons why I'm just like, but at the same time, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Bye.